Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your patience. I think we finally got things going. I'm Stan Komorek. I'll be your chair this morning. I would also like to introduce my fellow panel members. On my left, Natalia Popovic and Donald Taylor. On my right, Sophia Ruddick and Bill Dalton. And Barbara Bertozik, our deputy manager for Etobicoke, York. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is now called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from provisions of the zoning bylaw, permission to extend or alter lawful nonconforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Our hearing procedure of the Committee of Adjustment hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format, hence our complications this morning. Apologies again. Some applicants and participants will make their submission in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connected with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. All other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with this written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during your video appearance. Copies of the decision. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, as the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Board, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions, and now only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, specified persons, and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the committee. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedures, I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. When making your submissions where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with her presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are asked to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching your 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing today. When addressed When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposal at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Sorry. Okay. This is kind of boring anyway. Then individuals, either in support or opposed to the application, will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers on the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut, but only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Sorry if I was not speaking clearly before, but anyway. Moving on, could we get confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting? I believe that was September.
August 29th.
August, thank you.
I will do so, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Bill Dalton, all in favor? Okay, minutes are approved. Any declarations of interest of panel members or of staff on the items on this morning's agenda? Mr. Dalton?
Yes, I have a conflict with item number 4.
Okay, we will ask you to leave at that time. Thank you.
Thank you.
He just needs to state the reason.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I've worked with one of the consultants involved on the file.
Okay, thank you. He already did, so I forgot what needs to do it publicly. Okay, and we have a few deferrals. I'm assuming there are no closed files to be closed, Madam Secretary Tricia? No, okay, so with regards to the deferrals, I believe the first item for deferral is item 1, so let's deal with that deferral request. And this is being deferred, or both staff and the applicant are seeking the deferral. The applicant or the agent is Frank Serafani online. Is Frank there?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So you're in agreement with doing the deferral, so you can, I believe staff have more questions and want to process your application in more detail.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. Given the request for deferral by both traffic management and planning services, my client has agreed to defer the application to a later date.
Okay, and I believe there's some issues around, there was some issue by some with regard to notice, so perhaps you can improve that when it comes back. And there were a number of people wanting to speak to this application. Is there anyone here in person? Hey, good morning.
Good morning, hello.
Hello, so.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Hello, thanks for having me. My name is Snežana Bošković. I'm a tenant at 12 ANGLESEY Boulevard, 211. Can I speak to the application or
no,
just to?
Just to the deferral, because.
For deferral. I would be quite happy to agree with the deferral under the condition that we have a community meeting first. So community meeting would be recommended highly so the tenants will know what is going on in the building, because some of them don't speak English or don't understand what is going on. We would ask that the translator will be provided during the community meeting for the ones who ask for that.
Okay, well, that's up to you guys to organize it with the landlord, or it's up to the landlord to deal with it with you. I don't think we can impose that condition of providing with.
Yeah, but the community meeting you can. That's what I know. You should do that. I would highly recommend it.
Okay, thank you for your recommendation.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else here in person to speak to this item?
No, Mr. Chair, but we have,
Yeah, there is.
Hi, yes, sorry. My name is Timothy Gannick-Berezowski. I'm a resident, 12 Anglesey Boulevard. In terms of the deferral, yes, there was a lot of confusion. First, we were told only 6 units were being built. Now it's 17. We didn't receive any kind of communications directly from the landlord, only the notice in one of 3 separate entrances in the building. Time seemed limited, so yes, a deferral will be in order. I do think a community meeting should be imposed. We received written assurances that evictions would not happen. Are such assurances even binding? There's a lot of concern about that. I could tell you many of us are just terrified right now.
For sure, and I think planning shares those concerns. I believe that's probably part of the reason why they want to have this item deferred, so they can deal with the applicant in more detail.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. And is there anyone else in the room? No. Okay, and then we have someone online.
yeah, we have Lynn.
Good morning. Was Beth as well?
Yeah, Lynn, I'm unmuting you, so just please allow staff to mute and unmute.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to speak to the substance of the matter. I am a neighbor.
We need your full name and address, please.
My name is Lynn Korback, and I'm at 9 Alderton Court, which abuts to the backyard.
Okay, I don't think we're going to be dealing with this item today. So if you would like to perhaps comment on the issue of the deferral.
I am content with the deferral,
You're concerned. With,
provided that
you're content.
I am
Thank you.
content to agree to a deferral, provided I am aware of the next meeting so that I can.
Notice will be
register
reissued.
to speak.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And do we have one more? Beth?
Yep. Beth Verge.
Yes, yes, hi there.
Hey, good morning.
Beth Bird. Hi there. I reside at 12 Anglesey for the last 35 years. So I do agree to the deferral, but as all the other residents have said, I would love there to be a community meeting about this. There wasn't a really ample information on the meeting. And if you say that there is no community meeting that has to be done, how do we go about setting up something like that?
Okay, well, I think that's what we're going to ask the applicant to get their opinion on whether they want to do the community meeting or not, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, other than that, then it's up to the tenants to gather and make a meeting for ourselves.
You can do that. There'll be a new notice. We're hoping that it'll be a little bit different in terms of clarity of what's actually being done, so that hopefully you'll have a chance to do that.
Okay, there was something that was written in one of the emails on the COA site about a letter being sent out about the meeting, but I personally never received anything like that. So is that something that you do for the tenants or no?
Well, the notice, the landlord has to post the notice, but there's no legal obligation for the landlord to send notice to every single tenant. So now that you know this is coming up, once the notice comes out, I would suggest you guys get organized.
Okay, so does the notice have to be posted in a manner that everybody in the building can see it?
That's the idea.
So
Because there's 3 entrances.
I will
and only
answer
one was-
some questions we had by a previous speaker so that it's clear. There was a question about the error in the text. That error was on the part of city staff, and we provided updated wording. The 10 days is to provide notice to owners of property. There is nothing in the Planning Act that references providing notice to tenants. The 10 days are calendar days. It's up to the owner to provide notice to the tenants. That's not something that we have control over. It's on their responsibility. They have provided us with verification that they posted the sign. So what our recommendation to the applicant will be, but the committee has no authority to impose this, but we're recommending it right now when it does get rescheduled, that the applicant propose signs at all of the entrances to the building, not just the main one. Our instructions are so that it's visible to the street, so they posted it at the main entrance. So technically that was correct, but as a courtesy, they should post one in the future at all of the entrances, and perhaps they can also put one in each of the mailboxes. But again, we can't mandate that. We're just recommending that to the applicant when they get rescheduled.
Understood. Thank you. So I'm in agreement to the deferral.
Thank you. If I can just get Frank back for a couple of minutes. Mr. Safrani?
Serafini.
Sorry. Anyway, it looks
problem.
like your tenants would love a meeting. That's up to you. But just wanted you to, if you want to chime in on that, I guess that's up to the owner. You're not probably in a position to say that, yes, yay or nay at this point.
Yes, I will discuss that, the aspects of a community meeting with my client. But as far as the eviction, potential for evictions is concerned, my client has made it clear, and he's just reiterated that, and he sent a letter to tenants to that effect, that there are no evictions planned as part of any future construction that'll take place regarding this application.
Okay, and in any case, I'm sure there'll be conditions from the planning department to address that, and I think that's part of their issue, what they wanted to do, why they wanted to defer.
Exactly. We'll discuss and confirm in the future during the deferral period.
Okay, thank you. So, committee members, on the deferral?
Mr. Chair, I will move to defer this matter.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, the item is deferred. Our next item for deferral, I believe, is agenda item 5, 501 Alliance Avenue. Okay, this is agent is online for this. And I think there was no connection on the sound check, so I'm not sure is it Michael or Mikkel?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Michael.
All right, yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, sir. You're requesting a deferral for your item?
Yes, the applicant, the owner, is unable to be at the meeting today. He previously booked to be out of the country, and he wishes to present in person.
Okay.
And so we requested to defer the meeting, ideally to the October 24th date, if possible.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the room or online to speak to this item other than the applicant? I'm assuming not.
No one online, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So I'll take it back to committee for a vote then.
Motion to defer as requested by the applicant.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reddick.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. All in favor? Okay, item is,
That will be to the next available hearing date, and if we can accommodate on October 24th, we will.
okay, item 5 is deferred. Item 7, I believe there was a notice issue, which was staff's error. And that is, oh, there you go.
My name is Joe Giannacci. I'm here on behalf of my daughter and my son-in-law. We're requesting the deferral till the next available date for two reasons. One, that there was one item missing, and we need an arborist report as per requirements that we weren't aware of, but we should have in the next week or so.
Super.
And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for the wait to get to that.
No problem.
And there was someone else here in person?
My daughter.
They're just the owners, Mr. Chair.
Sorry?
They're the owners.
They're the owners, got it, okay. So if there's no one else to speak to this issue, I'll take it back to committee.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to defer this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Public.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Bill. All in favor? Okay, item is
Thank
deferred.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, before we get to item 10, I just wanted to advise that the agent or the registered applicant on file, Victoria Colantonio, is not on the line. Victoria did not register, but was sent the connection information regardless.
Okay, so why don't we just deal with that one in the order of the agenda then?
Okay.
Okay. So then that brings us back to the top of the agenda. Since item 1 has been deferred, we're on to item 2, which is 52 AIRVIEW Road, Unit 10. This is an application to maintain a vehicle related use in a multiplex occupancy building. And go back to my speakers list. And we have Bill, sorry, I can't pronounce the last name, so I'm not going to try. Outred, okay. And
yes, Outred.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, good morning.
I'd rather do that than mispronounce it, so.
No, that's totally fine.
Okay.
It's been so mispronounced.
And this has been around for about, your situation has been around for about 15 years. I think you've had 2 previous renewals, so this is nothing new.
Yeah, there's actually been 4 previous renewals.
4,
it's been
okay.
around since 1998.
Wow, okay, you just got to keep coming back to us.
Well, we keep on coming back, and to be perfectly honest, I think it's been well over 20 years. So I was hoping that we could ask the committee today, based on there being no issues or complaints, there's no planning comments, so we could potentially get a permanent use for this particular
Without a
item.
time limit. Yep.
Without a time limit, yes. I think it's reasonable. It has been a long time. The committee usually, after 1 or 2 times, goes permanent. There has been no issues. I think it fits in well with the site. It's been approved each time without any issues. So, yes, I would ask for a permanent approval if the committee sees fit.
Okay, and I see no departments chiming in, no one expressing any concerns, so I think that's a fair ask. I'm assuming there is no one else to speak to this item. I have no one on my list, so I'll take it into committee then.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, based on that, I'd like to move a motion to approve without any condition or time frame.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton.
As there are no conditions.
There are no conditions being requested, no. Is there a seconder?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. All in favor? Okay, you have unanimous approval. Thank you, Bill. Okay, item 3, 19 Hatfield Crescent. This is an application to construct a garden suite in the rear yard. There is 1 variance being requested. Planning is requesting a condition of approval in the event that we approve. And we have 14 letters of objection on file. And Sean, the agent, is online. Is that correct? Or is there someone in? No.
Sean Galbraith, planner here on behalf of the application.
Good morning, sir. Given that we do have some opposition to this application, if you could perhaps do a full presentation for us.
Sure, this is a very straightforward application, I think. The existing property is undergoing redevelopment as a multiplex, and the owners would like to add a one-story with basement garden suite in the backyard. Due to the separation distance from the main dwelling, it triggers a single variance of 1.73 meters for the setback between the fourplex and the proposed garden suite. There are no variances for soft landscaping. There's no variances for the height or the side yard setbacks or the rear yard setbacks. And the fourplex itself is actually built in order to provide parking on the site, 2 parking spaces, which none of which are actually required. They could have built that bit larger, and so that creates some space in front of the garden suite. The garden suite doesn't go the full, or the fourplex doesn't go the full width of the proposed garden suite, so it creates some space on the lot that you don't actually normally see in projects like this. I've reviewed all of the comments from planning and from area residents, and I noted that a lot of them are duplicate, like multiple comments from the same address, and none of them actually spoke to the actual variance itself, the separation distance to the residence. They primarily talked about concerns about flooding, which my client has actually experienced from other neighbors changing the grading of their property. And this development will actually require that my client improve the drainage on his property, because as you know, you're not allowed to drain onto other people's lots. There were some also concerns about parking. Again, 2 parking spaces are provided and none are actually required by the zoning bylaw. There's concerns about construction. These are not minor variance issues, and unfortunate to, construction is construction. But in my opinion, this absolutely meets the intent of the official plan to provide more housing in established neighborhoods in a form that is respectful to its context. And again, this is only a one-story garden suite. It only triggers 1 variance.
Okay,
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, before we go on to questions, we did receive comments this morning from the counselor. We're going to put it on your screen as we speak.
Well, I can't read that. Has the applicant seen this letter?
I just saw that this morning. Yeah, and so it echoes the comments of some of the neighbors, almost verbatim. And again, it doesn't actually speak to the actual variance itself. The use is permitted, and most of the zoning bylaw is fully satisfied.
Understood. Okay, I got a couple of questions for you while
Sure.
the members are reading that. What's the current status of the fourplex? Is it under construction? Has it been built?
It's under construction.
It's under construction, okay. Because I noticed the site originally had a lot of hardscapings, and according to your drawings, I'm assuming you're removing a lot of that.
Some of it is being removed. It's concrete. It's very difficult to remove all that concrete. It's largely being retained because it's going to provide parking on the site for 2 cars. We're not actually triggering any minor variances for soft landscaping.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you're not actually given the amount of hardscaping that's there now, but as you say, you are removing some of it then in order to comply with the with that part.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that was my only question. We have a speaker online as well.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have Jennifer Gigante.
Jennifer?
My name is Jennifer Gigante.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you, good morning. I am the resident at 30 Huntsmore, so I am approximately 4 houses to the north and the rear of this structure. So my concern with the garden suite is our use of the swales in our backyard. So in the backyard, we are all expected to keep a canal way clear that allows for drainage in the springtime, in the event of extreme weather events, which we know as the city has had a regular instances. And we are, as the councillor mentioned in his letter, high risk of flooding because of the neighborhoods. We know we are under redevelopment and we have multiple of these multiplex homes going up in our neighborhood, and we aren't against them per se. What we are against is the additional infrastructure that is going to impede on the location of these swales, being that they are the only drainage that we allow for. When you look at the proposed structure, looks like the back is only 1.5 meters away from the structure, which will not allow a clear pathway of drainage in the springtime. Being my backyard is as a resident there, I know that I am victim to at least 4 to 5 meters of backed up water anywhere from March all the way to June. So we know that there are already issues, and we are well aware that infrastructure being what it is not going to take place, and no one's going to come in and revamp our backyards for us. And clearly, as the builder is aware, they are going to have to build up in order to make sure there is no flooding in their property, which is going to negatively impact the surrounding homes, which has been mentioned in several of the complaints. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll come back to the agent now.
Thank you very much. So again, as I mentioned earlier, there is no variance being requested or triggered for rear yard soft landscaping or soft landscaping at all. The rear yard setback as proposed is in accordance with the zoning bylaw, as are the side yard setbacks. Right now, this project is required to install a sump pump in the basement because of drainage from other properties onto my client's property. So he understands the concerns. He's been experiencing them as well. But as I'm sure committee is aware, building does not allow you to drain onto other people's properties, and so this will help alleviate those neighborhood concerns.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just a quick
You're welcome.
question. In terms of the concrete that's going to be removed, has it been removed, or has any of that happened yet on the landscaping?
The property is still under construction, so that's still a bit of a work in progress.
Okay, so, but should you get approval from us today, then that will require you to remove some of that concrete. Is that not correct?
Yeah, the condition is that we build substantially in accordance with the proposed site plan, and so that would absolutely occur.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it's made clear that if we do this approval, you will in fact improve the amount of soft landscaping beyond what is currently provided on that site.
Yes, that is correct.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the wording in the condition says as it relates to the proposed entry for the garden suite, so the committee could add and the soft landscaping so that it covers that as well.
Thank you, because I know planning was primarily concerned with where the entrance was. So thank you for that, Madam Secretary Treasurer. We'll take it back into committee then, unless there's anyone else here to speak to this item. No? No.
So based on that, I'd like to move a motion to approve, subject to the amended planning condition.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion. I'd just like to
Clarify what
Yeah, clarify a little bit. The only issue that we heard about this morning was with respect to drainage, and that's not something that we have a mandate to deal with. It is, however, dealt with at the building permit level. So any issues that are relate to drainage will be resolved during that process, not this one. Our process is simply to comment on a single variance, and we haven't heard or read anything from anyone about issues with the reduced distance between the main building and this garden suite, so I would support the motion to approve.
Okay, do we need to clarify the wording on the final motion, or?
So
It was subject to planning condition, correct, Mr.
Yeah,
Dalton?
but
Yep.
I think Mr. Dalton wanted that planning condition to be expanded a little bit.
Yeah, so it should read, subject to the September 4th, 2024 site plan as it relates to the entry for the garden suite and the soft landscaping. Period.
Perfect. Okay. All clear? Yep. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, so it's carried on a split vote. Okay, item 4. Thank you. See you later. 81 Upwood Avenue. This is an application to construct a fourplex. There are 5 variances being requested. Planning is recommending that we refuse the application. There was a petition in support. Subsequently, a number of those who signed the petition withdrew their support. We now also have 4 letters of opposition. And I see we have our agent in front of us.
there are also additional letters in opposition that came in after the deadline.
Yes.
So you don't have them before you, but there are additional.
Oh, so there are more than 4?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, respected members. My name is Ralph Gratani. I'm with RGC Design Group. We're the planners and architectural designers for this file before you today. Actually, I wanted to lead off by saying it's so nice and refreshing to finally be back in Etobicoke Chambers, but I guess it's that cloud that follows me. But great to see you again in person. I have several talk points that I'd like to convey this morning with respect to the application. This is also in unison with a complete submission that we've made, our drawings reports for your courtesy. The application before you today is for the purpose of constructing a new building on a vacant and serviced parcel of land created by a consent application, which was approved by the panel back in 15 and 16 with 2 applications. The parcel of land is moderate in size. As it was created, is approximately 13.7 meters in frontage onto Upwood Avenue and with a depth of 44 meters. Our firm was challenged by both the client and, of course, the zoning bylaw, the multiplex bylaw, the conditions of former consent applications, the official plan to create a form of housing that is before you today. Quite frankly, members, at times we are both challenged with all of the new policy and moving parts that affect good planning. With all of the planning instruments that we're subject to these days, I kind of feel like an orchestra leader. The variances before the panel today have been modified and reduced following several staff meetings and discussions that were made previously. However, we make the submission and ensure to the members that this application has been very lengthy, involved, and responsible as we move toward a vote today. The application incorporates a new 2-story residential built form that provides for 4 family apartment units, which is the maximum limit supported by the City of Toronto multiplex bylaw. A basement utility space that provides storage units, mechanical equipment, and maintenance spaces for the owner. The application right now provides for 3 rear yard parking stalls, which exceed the 0 parking requirement for a 4-plex dwelling. amenity space, outdoor amenity spaces for the families and residents. Responsible setbacks that are minor in nature, which minimize the impact on the adjoining lands. The siting of the building respects the height limits, the rear and front yard requirements within the governing performance standards of zoning. No overview or shattering impacts are created by this design. If anything, the 5-story seniors residence to the west will have more overview onto our clients' lands. These are just a few of the merits of the application. Now, with respect to variance number 2, senior staff sorry, I'm kind of distracted with behind me, but if I may. With respect to variance number 2, senior staff continue to comment on building length and depth responsibly with this application. As the members know, the performance standards of the new multiplex bylaw provide for a 19-meter long dwelling. This application exceeds this number due to the function and architectural configuration that we have provided for 4 spacious apartments for 4 families. The average size of the apartments range with a median of 950 square feet. 2 of the units are 2 bedrooms, and 2 of the other units are 3 bedrooms with eat-in kitchens, family rooms, and 2 washrooms per. Staff have informed me that their submission is based upon the OP test in regard to the variance complying with neighborhood characteristics and existing built form. Having said that, I did make a submission chart. I don't know if you can call it up.
Yeah, it's in the...
But you received it?
Yes.
Yeah.
With the townhouse complex going next door.
Thank you. We were responsible for that, but the bylaw and approval for the adjoining properties, the one to the east I refer to, was successfully submitted for a series of townhomes and semi-detached homes sited in a private enclave. When I presented it originally, I referred to it as a neighborhood within a neighborhood. To the north, we have Queens Drive with a converted 3-tenant building. On the north side of Queens Drive, there's a series of high-rise buildings. To the west, as I mentioned earlier, is the Weston Gardens retirement residence with 140 rooms. To the south is our...
Ask you to wrap up, but we'll get into some questions.
Okay. Fair enough. We've maintained the good neighbor policy, as was mentioned earlier. But I will I will conclude by saying that in an excerpt for the OP, neighborhoods are considered to be physical stable areas. They will be consistent with the objective and maintain the physical character. Mr. Chair, members, this application does speak to this OP requirement. And with the support of the neighborhood and committee, staff can be assured that their concern have been responsibly fulfilled within the public interest by, of course, minimizing the impact of the 4 tests and their general compliance with this application. The City of Toronto and the Province of Ontario have challenged all vested stakeholders in the development industry to provide creative forms of housing.
That doesn't sound like a wrap-up to me. You kind of...
These are safe spaces.
You made your point.
And respectfully.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I would like to ask the townhouse complex next door, what is the status of that application right now?
We have draft plan approval. We're currently going through the condominium application.
Okay. So...
And site plans, sorry.
When you had your discussions with the planning department, did they take that into context of where you were being located, or were they just focused on the neighborhood to the south?
They were focused on the entire area.
Okay, so you weren't able to make the argument that you're comparable to what's next door?
Absolutely, because those units range anywhere from 5.5 meters to 6 meters.
I understand that, but I'm just wondering why they're still recommending refusal.
I can't speak for the city, but I can tell you that maybe they draw a line which represents where the street ends. So basically, it separates the south side from the north side.
But you're north of that line.
Yeah, well, we're actually, we are. And it falls into the greater density.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand that. Okay, that's fine. Any questions from other panel members before we move on to the next speaker? No? Okay. I'll ask you to sit down for a minute and we'll come back to you. Of course. Do we have anyone else?
We do have speakers virtually. I'm not sure if there are also speakers in the chamber speaking to this application.
Because I don't have anyone on my list, so.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
a couple.
okay, so come on up, whoever wants to go first.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Echo Featherstone, and I live at 73 Upwood Avenue. If you look at the pictures, you can see that my house is not in the proposal or the plan, but I am attached to 75. I just need to take a second. First of all, the first thing I would like to say, I'm absolutely objecting to all of the variances. I think I have an app where I put in all of the adjustments that he's asking for in the variances, and when I look at it while my children are outside playing in the streets, it takes away from our home. It takes away from all of the trees that the retirement has against the planning line. And so in the petition for support, it says that it is well within our community's characteristics and everything, and it's not. I believe that they are showing you the adjacent streets, which is Queens Drive, and not our dead end of a dead end, which is where my house ends, and also the house across from me, which I forget the number,
Sorry,
backs up to it.
What was your address again?
Pardon?
Sorry, what was your address?
73.
73, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then, so in the proposals and planning, it's showing a lot of Queens Drive. It's not showing that our dead end of a dead end ends. There's no walkway. Our community is very, very tight and very protective of that area, and they have come forward before at meetings to object to, and it has been passed as that was not passed, sorry, for a walkway all the way through. And we can't consider the townhomes that are building because they're not there. It's just trees. Let me get back to what I was saying. There's four homeowners that are away that didn't receive the letters. I can give you the names of the homeowners. One of them are my in-laws next to us. They are all on the same trip right now, and they're not back for a little bit, so they don't have any of the papers. So you're missing a lot of concerned community members that would be here today. The number across that backs up to the home, he had recently just passed. And I did send a letter in just because we have talked about it before his passing, and he absolutely was upset about the homes behind his home, backing up to it. It's a backyard that was severed. And there are more things that I have here. I just didn't have time to prepare because obviously I didn't get the letter until a few days ago. The sign wasn't put up until the 28th, which is the long weekend, and the first meeting for this was held on the Tuesday, which is the first day of school, and I have 3 kids, so I didn't make it. But there are things that I'm requesting that I would have more time to be able to show evidence for, as well for the history of our community and our dead end, if I would be allowed more time, and more time to explain to my in-laws and my cousins and other house owners that are not within the country right now, as they didn't have time to read the letters. And they have went over it, but they can't, the technical issues this morning of them trying to access from Portugal, they didn't have time to. So I'd like more time. As for the privacy and views, that takes away from everything of us. The retirement home that has all of the windows that back up to that place, that you will see elders walking through our community, and they come to our dead-end street because there is no footway traffic and there is no traffic. So they come here and they feel safe and they sit in their walkers all day and enjoy the sunlight. And if you come by right now, you'll see them out there. And so that would take away from that. There's no parking on our street. The drainage is an issue for houses from 69 and onwards to my house. All of our basements flood. Our backyards, we have lost countless meters into the ravine that has fallen in. And a house of this size, this many people and this much drainage, there's nowhere for it to go. Like, it just goes into our basement. And I have so much that I'm trying to prevent from it flooding right now that I don't need. I just can't handle another house with more water being drained into there when our front lawn and our road sinks in water every time it rains, or they drain the higher fire hydrants. As for privacy, we try really hard as a community to prevent anything from compromising that. That comes with the walkway and things like that that you see there. They don't go through because we are not part of Queens Drive. We are this tiny little backyard, back section, dead end. And so that's where I think that the community, him addressing the characteristics of the neighborhood, that's not the characteristics of our neighborhood. And I think there's a lot missing here that needs to be addressed. there needs to be more time, as some people didn't have a chance to make it, as you've read by the emails. And that's pretty much all I have to say. For now, I have more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go away.
Oh.
Any questions from panel members? Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room to speak to this? Good morning.
Morning, Councillor. I'm Albert Mazio from 61 Upwood Avenue. So this petition became aware of like a week and a half ago. The sign was put up. So it's all new to me. I just hear because the applicant did come to the neighborhood and asked us to sign, accommodate his variances. But of course, gentlemen, we were civil with him, and a lot of the neighbors did sign the form without reading through all the variances, and we're just now trying to understand what the variances, how they impact the neighborhood, the characteristics. It's as was mentioned from my neighbor, it's a dead-end street, quiet dead-end street. There's a lot of concern about the new development changing the characteristics of the neighborhood, impacting drainage, density, major other factors that people that have lived there for 40, 50 years, as myself, it's going to be a shock to the system with some elderly neighbors that are not here present today, have concerns about the new development. As mentioned, we're here to welcome the developer who at the time said his son would be living in a house. There's a lot of confusion. We want to welcome him to the neighborhood, so I'm here just to remove my name from that signature because there was some confusion. As far as the bylaws go, we want the property to have a unit that's conforms to the rest of the neighborhood, single dwelling, semi-detached houses. Mentioned here, the first variance, there's a 35% increase over what the standard is for 30%. A lot of the people on the street don't know how that's going to impact the visibility of the neighborhood. And as was mentioned, there's a lot of children and kids playing on the streets, so we're concerned about higher traffic flow, how that impacts the status quo of the children playing on the street as far as safety goes. And yeah, so that's mostly my concern. We wanted to have a dwelling that fits into the characteristics of our neighborhood, and I know that this property has not been developed for many years. It's been a vacant lot. There were previous advisors that said there was going to be a single house built. Not sure why that wasn't approved in prior meetings, but now it's come to this meeting where a fourplex has been proposed. So as was mentioned, there's going to be a change in the characteristic of the street. It's a dead-end, quiet dead-end street, and we don't want the shock to the system that's going to impact drainage, traffic, parking. There's many considerations over the trees that are going to be cut down, how that's going to affect the neighborhood. So that's my main concern with the application, and I just hope that whatever's developed on the property meets the characteristics of a dead-end street that with single and semi-detached homes. We don't want a large quasi semi-apartment unit built on that property. So thank you, Councillor. Sure.
Thank you, sir. And we have someone else?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Michael Caranci, 45 Upwood Avenue. So I do have some safety concerns here. With this proposed building here, I see there's 3 parking spots, which I understand there's 0 required. However, I also see there is a proposed garden suite to the back of the property, which is a separate application, but is already being proposed that it's going to be within that property. I'd like to explain to our street. We bought it back in 2012. no kids, freshly married, and we bought it because it was a nice quiet street. I lived on Maple Leaf most of my life, which is another 2 streets over, a major street, two-way thoroughfare. And this was even quieter to us. There's a lot more traffic that goes through Maple Leaf now, but that depends on how the 401 is operating. So it was a very quiet street. It's a cul-de-sac on one side to the east. It's not exactly a dead end or an impregnated dead end towards where this property is going to be located. And that's a concern for me because that used to be a property, well, it was a backyard of the house on Queens Drive. There was a bunch of derelict homes that were knocked down by the RGC group, or sorry, I should say they're planning to rebuild them, but they were knocked down. They're going to put the townhouses there. That is on Queens Drive, not on Upwood. This proposal, the street ends and it comes completely straight to the end. There's a sidewalk on either side, and it's a straight dead end, which leaves no room for the snow vehicles to come in. We have problems every year now with snow removal. More importantly, we've had instances of ambulances not be able to get to the end of the street for some of the elderly people because of when snow is there with snowbanks or vehicles, due to many people living inside these homes as either living with their parents or on a rental basis. So this proposed, 3 parking spots for a 4-plex, especially when you have a 2 and 3 bedroom home, is not going to be just for a single family. It's going to be multiple families, as they are happening right now in the community. So there's many people, and you can look at the parking enforcement on Upwood Avenue to see how many times they've come out to tag vehicles that are simply just left in the parking lot in the street because they can't get into their parking lot or their driveway because other people are occupying it, living in the home. And just to speak on the safety concern of the snow removal and so on, I was one of 4 supervisors for Caranci Brothers. We did the City of Toronto and East York snow clearing from 2015 to 2022. So I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about safety and being able to go in and clear tiny streets in East York. Let's just see here. This is going to be a commercial rental property when there's a bunch of single homes. It's all semi-detached, single or back splits, and bungalows in this area. It's only 28 homes. It's a very small, quiet street. So this is going to overpower the neighborhood and be quite a difference. If it was on Queens Drive, it's a different story. There's high density housing behind us there, but this is not on Upwood Avenue. Flooding concerns, drainage, an increase on the wastewater system for something that was proposed, was once a backyard and is now being turned into a 4-plex with a proposed garden suite. That is a lot of increase on an infrastructure there when it was never meant to be. It was never zoned for that when it was originally built. Many people have letters of objections that have signed the proposal or signed the letter to support it that Mr. Palacio had brought around last week. I actually thank him for bringing this to our attention because my wife or myself or other homeowners next door to me and so on have not gotten letters about this proposal. There's only 28 houses on this street. I have neighbors that have gotten a letter for their husband and for their wife separately. I have not received anything, and this is the second time. Now, I know Canada Post has their issues, but this is a little ridiculous. We should have been informed about this on such a small street. Yeah, I don't think it's going to suit the neighborhood. This is overpowering us. This is something a little bit higher density. It should be reserved for maybe another street that has it, like Queens Drive, but not for Upward Avenue. It cannot handle this kind of infrastructure here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? And is there anyone online then?
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we do have 2 residents online. We have an Elena Kyra, who I'm going to unmute. So we did have, or Elena was sent the information. I don't see her on the line, but we have a Carolina George.
Okay. Carolina, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So if we can
Good
get
morning.
your...
My name is Carolina George. Yes.
Can we get your address
And
as well, please?
I am a resident. Yes, I am a resident of 67 Upwood. And like my neighbors, I did meet Mr. Cesar Palacio last week as he was talking to the neighbors. And I am in this meeting today to object to all the variances. At the time, the conversation that we had was different from the documents provided by the city. Like my neighbors, I do have a 5-year-old that plays on the streets, and we believe that this land will be overdensed by this new proposed multiplex. There is a concern with the street parking and the parking units on the land. As 4 units, I'm sure they will have cars. Our area doesn't have a lot of amenities nearby, so all of the residents are drivers. And there's also the concern with the size of the building. The street is not does not have the capacity for a building this size.
Okay, if you're done, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You said that when you met the agent at the door, what was presented to you was different than what was on the notice. Can you clarify how it was different?
Yes, Mr. Cesar Palacio told us that the property would have 4 parking spots. However, the documents provided by the city clearly show 3 spots.
Okay, so that's the principal concern is 1 spot less than what was originally mentioned.
Yes, 1 spot less, as well as the drainage issues.
Okay.
That corner is known for flooding every time there's a heavy rainfall.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else, or no?
Not online, Mr. Chair.
Okay, if I'll get the agent to come back to the microphone then.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Many of the comments as submitted by our neighbors and friends relate to issues that do not speak to the merits of the application or the fact that how we've designed it, how we've complemented this property, and how we intend to use it. Snow removal, intergenerational homes, city engineering, flooding, those are all issues that can be controlled responsibly. We cannot say that this development will impact any of those. I will say, just to comfort the neighbors, that we agree, even though there is no parking requirement, I will say we responsibly created a driveway to the back of the property to ensure that we can provide 3, maybe 4 spaces, because we've got the outdoor amenity space in there as well. The reason we did that is we drive into the parking spaces, we can comfortably and responsibly back out and drive out onto Upwood Avenue. No one will be backing onto Upwood Avenue in its current configuration, where most of the houses have driveways and garages out front. So I think that's a safe component that the neighbors should hear from me. And having said that, the conflict between 3 and 4 spaces, if the committee deemed it appropriate, we could provide a 4th space. But I'm not sure that's in front of us today.
Are you done?
Done.
Thank you. Questions then? So you've got a turning radius available to you there where you don't have to back out the cars out of the driveway, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. And I just have a question with regards to the garden switch, which I know is not before us, but it is indicated on the drawings. In its current configuration, are you going to have any variances relating to that?
That configuration does not provide any variances, other than it hasn't been designed, but if we were looking to height, there could be. But my client has informed me that he will not be building a garden suite, for the record.
Okay, but in that configuration, you're saying you would have sufficient green space to not create a variance?
Yeah, you can see the buffer of 2.6 meters from the edge to the first parking stall, with 3 parking stalls.
And you'd still have the 50% landscaping in the rear yard?
With the garden suite, we would not.
That's what I'm getting at. So,
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that if you come back to us for a garden suite application, there likely will be variances.
Yes, sir.
Which we can address at that time.
We could.
That's what I wanted to clarify more than anything.
Fair.
And I think, yeah, the neighbors probably would be happy with a fourth parking space, although I'm not sure you'd have a turning radius situation if you did that. Any other questions from panel members? Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll take it into committee then. So we have a recommendation from planning for refusal, and we have some objectors. I guess we should open it up for discussion.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair. I agree with the agent's comment that the issues raised today, orally and in writing, are not really related to the matter at hand, which is the minor variances that are requested. It's got nothing to do with drainage. That's dealt with as part of the permit process. Traffic issues, if there was an issue, we would have heard from Transportation Services Department. We didn't. And I guess most significantly is the fit of this proposed building with the predominant nature of the buildings on Upwood Avenue. I think it's important to note that in all neighborhoods throughout the city of Toronto since May 2023, multiplexes, including fourplexes, are permitted as long as they meet the zoning bylaw requirements related to the property. And if those bylaw requirements can't be met, there's an opportunity to request, as has been done in this case, minor variances. In this case, there are 5 of them. The only ones that, in my opinion, are sort of may give a bit of pause are dwelling length and dwelling depth. However, in my opinion, dwelling length and dwelling depth issues are mostly related to situations where a proposed building is longer, deeper than adjacent houses. So, in other words, overlook issues are created, shadowing issues may be created. In this case, based on the development on adjacent to or immediately east of this property, there are no buildings. So there is no overlook issues, there's no shadowing issues. There may well be when the proposed townhouse development is approved, but that's a future event. And I feel confident that we can proceed with this proposal without regard to the impact on the neighborhood related to the building, dwelling length and dwelling depth. So my inclination is to look at this application favorably, and I'll stop short of making a motion because I'm sure others may have their own opinions about this.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. I would like to make a comment, and that's given that planning is recommending refusal, they haven't put any conditions of approval. I would just like to suggest to committee members that you may want to consider putting some conditions in. I think from what we've heard from the neighbors, the principal concern is parking. And if we approve this without conditions, then the applicant is not obliged to provide any parking. You may want to consider at least maintaining the 3 that the applicant has expressed a desire to provide. And as the agent has indicated, they're not opposed to that. They're not opposed to even putting in 4, which I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's my 2 cents. Anyone else with Nope. Having said all that, we'll take it into committee, and thank you for your time. And is anyone ready for a motion then?
I think Ms. Ruddick, Ms. Popovic, unless you have anything to say or ask about it, I'm prepared to table a motion. Yeah, I think for reasons I stated, I find this application to be appropriate, meeting the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And I would move approval subject to urban forestry conditions 2 and 3, and a condition that 3 parking spaces be provided in association with the development of the property.
It's difficult to impose something that the bylaw doesn't require. Perhaps if you want to tie it to the site plan and be a little.
Okay, then I'll reword it to that effect then.
That'll actually be better, because then it maintains the turning radius and the way they actually designed it.
Now, I guess we have a date for the plans that we're talking about here, just to be
We
specific.
only have one set of plans on file. So
Okay, so on file with the Committee of Adjustment. Okay, then I'm going to rework the whole thing.
Okay,
subject to.
Before you go there,
Yeah.
my only concern then is that will restrict it to only 3 spots. I don't know if the applicant wants to do any processing with the neighborhood around
possibly creating 4. I don't know. Gets a little difficult to
dicey,
structure
yeah.
a condition with the.
Just a thought, but anyway.
Okay, so we have a motion subject to forestry conditions 2 and 3 and tying it to the site plan.
Essentially, yes.
I'll leave.
Yeah,
I'd like to leave it with that. I mean, I hear you, and there'd be.
But I don't know what this. I've voiced the problem, but I don't know what the solution is.
I've got the same dilemma, so I would feel more comfortable leaving it, that it be tied to the site plan that's been filed with the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you.
And Urban Forestry
Yep.
2 and 3. So that's my motion.
For sure. Motion's on the floor. Is there a seconder? Madam Chair, I'm assuming I can't second because I'll cause a tie. Okay. So I will remain silent. And if there is no seconder, I'll have to declare the motion failed. Is there an alternate motion?
Despite my friend's comments, like I do share the concerns of planning about the length and depth of the proposal, and I hear the concerns of the neighbors as well in the community. Given that, I would put forward a motion to refuse this application. It's not consistent with the character of the neighborhood.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to refuse. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Mr. Chair, I understand and have heard the comments of the committee and of the speakers, and I remain concerned, and I do reflect strongly on the position of community planning, so I will second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? The motion carries then? Okay, thank you.
Good day.
Can someone please find Bill? Yeah. So the item was refused. So basically, you've got what you were looking for. Correct. Or they can appeal.
Mr. Chair, while we wait for,
He's
Bill, I guess while we wait for Bill to take a seat, I just wanted to bring your attention that we did have someone registered to speak with respect to the next item, 539 Rustic, Catherine Tan, but I think Catherine was on the line, but has since dropped off.
Okay, but we've already moved a motion to defer that item.
Number 6.
Oh, sorry. Did I get that? So item 6 has been deferred.
No,
Item 5 was deferred. 6, I got it. Okay. Just too many deferrals for such a short hearing. Okay, so item 5 was deferred. Given the delay that we started in the meeting, I'm going to suggest we don't take a break this morning. Are members okay with that? Okay, thank you. So we're to item 6, and that was the one that we were waiting for.
No, the applicant that we were waiting for was supposed to speak to item 10.
Right.
So actually, on that, we've gotten correspondence from the applicant saying that since the application's been rescheduled for October 10th, that they're not going to be attending. So I'm not sure if you want to deal with that deferral now or deal with it in order, but they advise that they're not going to be attending the hearing.
We can deal with it later.
We'll go through the, yeah, let's just go through the agenda in order.
Okay.
Okay, so item 6 was not deferred?
No.
Okay. And is there a deferral requested for that? Why do I have a note for that?
No. Just the one speaker that was registered that was on the line that wasn't on the line.
Okay.
That's what.
And they are on the line now?
No.
No. Okay, let's. I get it now. So Catherine Tan is not available. Is that
correct?
Okay. Okay. So item 6, to construct a second-story addition above an existing dwelling, a second-story platform in the rear yard, and a basement walkout. And there are 3 variances being requested. Welcome, Mr. Milne Price.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair, fellow committee members. Just for the record, my name is Addison Milne Price, planner at Design Plan Services, located at 87 Skyway Ave, Toronto, here on behalf of the owner.
Okay, can we get a brief overview?
Absolutely. I'll begin. I'll point out that no department or external agency of the city has issued any objection to this proposal. And as far as I'm aware, no member of the public has raised any matter of concern with this proposal as well. I'm not sure if the member of the public on the line is in support or in objection. But I'll note that I've not been made aware of any concerns from the public. I believe this is quite a straightforward proposal, which is in essence to add a second story to an existing one-story house. There are also renovations to the front of the house to reorient the entrance and renovate the rear yard to remove part of an ancillary building, as well as to provide a basement walkout. Note that this building will be used as a duplex with a basement being operated as a dwelling unit. There was a previous application for minor variances that occurred last year in April. Unfortunately, that application missed all of these variances, and so we're now coming back to get the variances that were missed to get our building permit. Just briefly regarding the variances, variance 1 pertains to the number of stories, and this is a result of the basement being considered the first floor. You'll note on the elevations that the midpoints between the floor of the basement and the roof of the basement is above the established grade, and therefore it is considered the first floor, and hence the ground floors is considered the second floor, and the second floor addition that we're adding is considered the third. But if you view the elevations, in my opinion, it's quite clearly comes across as a 2-story dwelling, and a modest one at that, particularly when you compare it to the existing dwellings along Rustic Road. With regard to variance 2, this projection and setback of the roof eaves is commensurate with the side yard setback variance that was previously obtained on this property. And I'll also point out that the side yard setback shown on the plan is what currently exists on the property. That's backed up by the survey we've provided. We're only proposing to build up. We're not moving where the foundations or ground floor is. I'll point out as well, the building as it is currently doesn't have roof eaves on the east or west side, and as such, this variance will represent a considerable improvement to the property, particularly as felt to the neighbors when there is a rainstorm. Lastly, I'll just point out with regard to the third variance, it arises due to the definition of the basement and first floor that I mentioned earlier. Because the deck exits from the ground floor, which is considered the second story, it is considered a platform that is limited in size. One very quick note I'll make on this. You may see, Mr. Chair, that on the site plan, the frame deck area is indicated as 10.86 square meters. That figure includes the area of the stairs, which the zoning examiner does not include for the purposes of the variance. So I just wanted to get ahead of that. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any other questions that the committee may have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? No? Okay. The person online is still not online?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll take it into committee. If anyone's ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, based on the submissions made, based on the materials filed, and this matter does meet the 4 tests, I move to approve. I do not.
I don't see any conditions, no.
No, without conditions.
I'll
Thank
second
you,
that.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. All in favor? Okay, you have unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I see what I've done. I've put the notes to defer in the wrong box, yeah. Okay, so item 7 has been deferred. So we're on to item 8, which is 19 Edgemore Drive. This is an application to construct a 2-story rear addition. There are 3 variances being requested. Forestry is requesting condition 1 in the event of approval. We have an objection from number 17 immediately next door, and we have a support petition with 6 signatures. And the agent is online, I'm assuming. Aaron?
Yes, hello.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, my name is Aaron Idoween at 285 Hillhurst Boulevard. I am the agent and designer for this project. I can give a quick summary of what we're proposing if
you could, please,
like.
because I believe we do have,
Sure.
just to address the potential objector.
Sure. So the owners have lived in this house for over 40 years. They've raised their family at this location, and proposed changes are based on their desire to improve their quality of life while respecting the built fabric of the neighborhood. The proposed design incorporates a new main floor powder room, an enlarged kitchen, and the second floor, an enlarged primary bedroom, ensuite, and with an ensuite and a adjacent laundry room. So we're not proposing to make any changes to the front of the house or the height or width of the house. So all the variances, are attributed to the rear addition. So it's lot coverage, GFA, or floor space index, and the side yard setback. All of these are smaller or less than what was previously approved for number 17. And I understand these happened before the current owners of number 17 bought the house, but yet the fact remains that number 17 has a higher lot coverage than what we're proposing. It's not much higher, but it's they're both roughly 35 to 36% lot coverage. A few changes that the plans that you have on file are versus what the zoning notice states is that we have eliminated the rear deck to reduce the lot coverage and converted that to a patio. We've
So
also.
do you need to amend the first variance as a result of that, or are you still at 41% coverage?
No, we're down to 36%, which is reflected on the plans and the sort of site statistics on the plans submitted.
Okay,
but it doesn't.
Do you want to
Yep.
amend variance 1? Because anything
Yes.
over 40% is
Yes.
of concern to us.
Yes, I would like to amend that.
So what are you, do you know what your new numbers
We're
are?
seeking 36% lot coverage.
And do you know what that is in terms of square meters?
I believe it is. I have it in square feet. I can convert it real quick.
If you can stop his time clock too.
Okay. I believe it's 136 square meters.
Can't be, because at 40.
No, sorry. The overall GFA is 232, so it would be half of that. Yeah, I was focusing on the percentage, not on the
Okay.
the overall square meters. But I can give you a calculation.
You know what? We'll give you some time
Yeah, I
to,
think
come back to that. If you want to wrap up, and then we'll hear from the other speaker if there is one.
Sure. Also, the drawings indicate, although it's not part of the variance, that we're underpinning the entire house, the existing house, plus and we're not going to underpin the house. We're just putting a deeper basement on the addition, although there's no variance requested by that or triggered by that, but the neighbors did indicate some concern about underpinning the existing house. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank
I
you.
can give you the square meters also.
We'll come back to you for questions anyway, so we'll come up at that point. Okay, thank you. Give you a chance to just double check your calculations.
Sure.
Is Christine on the line?
Yep, Christine is on the line. I'm just gonna unmute you now, Christine. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Christine, I've unmuted you. I'm not sure if you're trying to speak, but maybe you haven't authorized the use of the mic. So if you could just quickly exit the meeting, rejoin it, authorize the use of your microphone, and we'll try again in hopefully 30 seconds to a minute.
And are there any other speakers, or is that it?
No, Mr. Chair, no other speakers.
Thank you.
Just Christine.
We'll come back.
I don't see that Christine has left the meeting yet. I'm not sure if they're at their computer or not. Christine, can you hear me? Christine Spencer?
Okay, let's come back to Aaron then. Do you have?
I double checked my numbers,
Okay.
and it is yeah, it would be 136 meters squared. for coverage.
136. Okay, that sounds right.
Yeah.
136. No, again, that's not right. Sorry. It can't be because you're at 40, unless there's something wrong with the number on the notice, because is that the problem? Yeah, okay. So 41 should have been something more than that.
And the notice, I believe, was including a rear deck that we've eliminated. That's how they got to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're at 36%, and that would equal 136 meters square.
Correct. I'm rounding up. It's 137. Sorry, 135.7, but 136. Just
okay, but 131 included the area of the deck. I think 131 was a wrong number because at 33.
Yeah, I think 131 is a wrong number. I got a couple of notices, and the numbers on the notices weren't making sense. So.
Yeah, because if 33 is 125, then 41 can't be 131.
Because on the drawings, it's noting it as 221.23 as gross floor area.
The drawings.
And that's
under lot cover. Oh, so that.
And that's noting.
That's the gross.
35%. So at 35%.
Yeah, that's.
You've got 135.19 for lot coverage. And you're
correct.
35%. So is that what you want to change it to?
I was adding an extra percent from 35 to 36% just to be safe, so I don't get myself into a pickle with exterior stairs and whatnot.
So do you want to keep the 135.19 as that, or change that, or can you live with the 36?
I would like to change it to 136 meters squared.
Okay.
This is for coverage?
Yes.
Well, he can't increase.
This is for coverage, yes.
He cannot increase his coverage.
Well, but he's decreasing the
so
percentage.
We'll leave it at 135, or we'll leave it at 135.19.
No, you can't, because
we'll
your
leave it
notice.
As per the drawings. The notice is not correct.
Is there a notice issue?
But he submitted a zoning review that showed the numbers 41%, which equaled 131.37. Your opportunity to question that was before you submitted your application. At this point, you cannot go higher than 131.37, even if it is an error, because you submitted that zoning review, which means that you were okay with those numbers. So if you want to decrease the percentage, you can, but you can't increase the
I think the
square.
zoning review is a math.
But if you submitted the zoning review, it means that you accepted their numbers. If you had an issue with their numbers, you should have dealt with that before you submitted your minor variance application. So you cannot go higher than 131.37.
Well, the other option is to defer and reissue the notice.
Yeah. Again, I was addressing the percentage and not the square meters.
Yeah, but they don't correlate. That's
or
the problem.
Footage, yeah.
Okay, so 131.37 isn't going to work for you, right? Because that's probably like 32% or something like that. That would, no, it can't be. It would be like 34, 35%.
I think I can do the math on that real fast.
Okay, because if 125 really is 33 and you're asking for 36, then you might be okay with 131. Just do your math again, please.
Okay.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out right now. So, Madam Secretary Treasurer, it's the square footage, it's the square meter number that is the germane number, not the percentage. Is that correct?
Well,
Yeah, their
both
numbers
are
are
relevant.
incorrect. But there was only one application submitted for a zoning review, and I got 2 zoning notices back for some reason. I'm not sure why. Neither of which the numbers were correct. What's that?
Did you have different numbers for variance 1 on the two different notices?
To be honest with you, I don't recall because I just went with the one that was recorded on file.
Okay, why don't we stand this item down? We'll come back to it at the end of the agenda, and in the meantime, that'll give you a chance to figure out the numbers, and then we'll decide what to do with it. Is that fair?
Yeah. Did you want to go through the other items now, or did you want to?
No, we're gonna
address everything later.
This is the only one that we need to clarify. When I say other items, I mean other agenda items. So we're going to come back to you while you redo your numbers, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, before we move on to the next item, there's a new person on my list, Faraz Dawisha. I'm not sure which item they're here to speak to, so I'm just going to unmute them quickly. Yeah. Hi, Faraz. Faraz Dawisha. Can you please let us know which item you're here to speak to?
You hear me?
For us, I can hear you, but it's very faint. Can you just speak closer to your microphone, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Which item are you here to speak to?
And what was the question, sorry?
Which item you're here to speak to?
I'm, the 126 Lake Promenade.
Okay, and what's your... Okay, so your 126 Lake Promenade, we'll unmute you when it's time for that one. Are you a neighbor or someone representing the application owner?
I'm owner of 126 Lake Promenade. My wife is there to speak on it. I'm just listening in.
Okay, so sounds good. Just to clarify, you will not be speaking. Your wife's agent will be, correct?
Correct.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, item 9, to construct a self-storage building. There are 3 variances being requested. Forestry is requesting condition 2, planning is recommending refusal, and we have a letter of concern from one of the neighbors with regards to an easement being preserved, and we have advisory comments from Metrolinx. Agent. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, given that you have a negative planning report, I think you're going to need to do a presentation for us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I'm Misha Berezniak from Smart Density, the planners on this application. Our project is located at 6588 Finch Avenue. The site now has an auto shop, and we propose a 6-story self-storage building. We fully comply with the soft landscaping requirement, and overall, it's a good project that provides much needed use, good form and good relation to the street, and all parking and loading is internalized. It's also important to note that if approved at the committee, the project will also go through a site plan review process that will cover many more technical and exterior design aspects. We attended a pre-application consultation meeting in May, where we presented our initial proposal and provided a rationale why the project should go through a minor variance application process. Based on staff comments, we made 2 changes to the massing and received staff support for the design. The changes included a reduction in height to 6 stories and increased rear setback. We kept corresponding with staff. Staff had one remaining concern before greenlighting the project to the committee. about soil volume, and we provided the calculations, and staff confirmed that it was acceptable. We also uploaded that you didn't have the opportunity to review. We sent it yesterday. It's on the file. We conducted outreach to neighbors within 60-meter radius by hand-delivered mail and, in one case, through email. And we provided 2 dates for online information sessions and proposed to discuss directly too, but no concerns were raised from the community. The owner also discussed over the phone with the auto shop owner just to the west of us. The only item that was received, it was the letter that was submitted to the committee from our neighbor to the west about the existing easement on the property, but I can confirm that there is no conflict between the proposal and the use of the easement, and I can speak to that further if needed. We require 3 variances for the project. We covered the planning rationale for why the proposal meets the 4 tests, but I have the information ready if there will be any questions. After the submission to the committee, the application was reviewed by other planning staff who had new concerns. They contacted us on September 3rd. We met with staff and provide clarification and more information, and as a result, parts of the concerns were resolved. Staff issued a planning report that you mentioned with some remaining concerns. We submitted a letter of response that, again, you would not have had the opportunity to review because it was after the first deadline. In our meeting, staff did acknowledge that even though they prefer that we go through a rezoning process, they did acknowledge the rationale for going through Committee of Adjustment application, and their preference for a rezoning process was mainly to ensure that the process is proper. I would like to address the comments from this report specifically because they were not covered in the materials that the committee members received originally. So regarding the process, staff commented on potentially insufficient consultation opportunity, but as I covered, first of all, we did conduct additional outreach, but also a rezoning process would not provide opportunities for consultation that were not provided in the existing process. Also, the staff mentioned the desire to see more comprehensive materials, but however, based on the pre-application consultation checklist, all the materials that would be required in a rezoning application are also required from us in the site plan phase, so there is nothing that would not be covered and addressed. Regarding use, staff were concerned that the proposal potentially does not provide enough employment opportunities. However, the amount of employment the project will provide is comparable to what would be provided by other uses that can be permitted as of right. Realistically, first of all, if we take, for example, a traditional warehouse, realistically, it cannot be constructed on a site of this size and would require assembly, but if it were to be constructed, it would be a single-story structure. It would also potentially be partially or fully automated, and as a result, would not...
I'm going to ask you to wrap up. But
yes.
We'll come back to that issue through a question.
Okay. I will just mention that other considerations were supporting public transportation, which I can touch on if the committee will be interested. And again, for these reasons, we believe that both the use and the process we propose are appropriate.
Thank you. I have some questions. I think that was the germane issue with planning, is that it's not an employment use because it's a self-storage as opposed to a staffed warehouse. And you know, with regard to public transit, I don't buy your argument because this is going to be open to the primarily for public use. It's not going to be a commercial use, correct? Like
it is both. Yeah, it is open to the public. It also provides, obviously, businesses also make use of it.
But anyone who's going to make use of it is going to drive there because they're going to be either loading things or unloading.
No, that is not correct. In many self-storage warehouses, and including here, we do definitely foresee use by general members of the public. It's not always for large on large and heavy items. There are students that we foresee using it too, so it is definitely.
So can you give me an example of what someone would use public transit to take in and out of that storage unit?
Yeah, absolutely. It's would usually be people moving light furniture, electronic items that they move around. Again, with the example of students, most prominent, especially in case where they.
Well, I just moved a couple of students this summer, and it took a van, so that's why TTC would definitely not work.
I agree that for moving a large amount of things, usually people would use vans.
But that's a typical. That's the storage business that's expanding in Toronto right now. Is storage of furniture.
In part, but there are also many, like especially considering the size of units and especially of student residences.
So. Is there going to be any employees on site?
Yes, the owner estimated that there would be 3 employees on site, plus accumulatively about one, you could say, one full-time job between more supporting roles. However, we also compared it to what would be the employment if there were to construct a traditional warehouse of about 15,000 square foot, which would be, of course, a single story. And based on existing examples, the numbers are not.
I don't think anyone's going to do a warehouse that size because it's not economical. So that's not a fair comparison.
I can also refer to, I think that could also be on the city's mind, and which we also brought up in their discussion, and they were receptive of that, is that if the city has we are probably discussing denser office use. However, the reality is that, of course, today there is no demand, and I don't think we should rely on what the demand today. But even if significant demand was to emerge in the future, it would be far from requiring all areas all employment areas near transit to be reserved for that. I would also like to raise another aspect of it, is that employment opportunities are only one consideration from city's perspective, and the other consideration is serving the economic needs of the city. And in that regard, definitely considering that this type of use is the only industrial use that can work in North America, at least in a multi-story building, it is serving it much better than many comparable industrial uses.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from panel members? No. Okay, thanks. Is there anyone else on this item? No?
No.
Okay, so we'll take it into committee then. So we have a forestry condition, and we have planning's usual recommendation of refusal for change of use. And you've heard the applicant's position on that.
And with that, I'd like to move a motion to refuse, because I think this application is more complex and shouldn't be considered by the C of A, as this use is permitted in other designated areas, and I agree with staff's recommendations, so I would like to move the motion to refuse.
Okay, is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, sorry, the application's refused.
Mr. Chair, did you want to take a quick break, or did you want to deal with?
We're going to keep going.
Keep going? Okay.
You do? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's take a 5 minutes. Sorry, because that's what I asked earlier. Do you guys want to take a break? Okay. Okay. Sure. It was 4 against, 1 for. Yeah.
Go back to number 8.
Christine?
10.
Christine Spencer?
Because we haven't actually deferred it yet.
Hang on one second. I'm going to see if this.
Christine?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, yeah, now we can hear you. Okay, that's great.
Okay, sorry, I was having some major issues. I had to reboot my computer earlier. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No worries. It works now. So.
And thank you very much for so aggressively looking for me to talk. I'm actually good. I just been speaking with the agent as well.
Sure.
And,
So we're not gonna. If I can just interrupt. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt so abruptly, but I just wanted to make sure that we can hear you and we have a connection. But we're gonna go back to this item. We haven't finished it yet, so we're gonna go back to it, and you'll have an opportunity to speak at that time. I just wanted to make sure we could hear you, which we can, which is great.
Thank you for that, and I just want you to know too when we get there.
Sorry, I'm able to hear you less well now, so I don't know what you changed, but yeah, put it.
Yeah, I haven't done any. Okay, thank you for. Thank you.
Okay, this is good. I'm gonna put you back on mute. Thanks, Christine.
Okay, so welcome back. We're at item 10. This is an application to for consent to sever into 4 lots. Have we found the applicant? Because I think we couldn't find the applicant
They
earlier.
won't be attending.
Yeah,
they will not be.
Yeah, they sent an email saying they're not coming.
So there's a notice issue, so I think we need to defer anyway.
Yeah, and my understanding, it's been scheduled tentatively for October 10th.
Great, but we haven't actually deferred it yet, so.
Correct, yeah.
Can I get a motion?
With that, I'll move a motion to defer as a result of the notice issue.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Bovic. All in favor? Okay, item 10 is deferred. Finally. Okay, so now we're at item 11.
Mr. Chair, do you want to go back to item 8?
Nope, they can wait.
Okay.
So item 11 is an item this is 126 Lake Promenade. This is an application to construct an in-ground pool and a garage in the rear yard. This item was deferred from March of 2023. There are 4 variances being requested. Planning is recommending refusal. We have a number of objection letters, and the rest are questions. Forestry is recommending refusal or in the alternative condition 1. And do we have Anthony online?
Anthony, you've been unmuted.
Hello?
Good,
Hi there,
good afternoon.
I'm available. Good afternoon.
Hi. So I guess it's time to do your presentation.
Perfect. Okay, no problem. So we'll go ahead now and do that.
Thank you.
Hello, members of the committee. My name is Anthony Bartolini, and I will be representing the file for the property at 126 Lake Promenade.
Okay,
Toronto,
Anthony, hold on,
and-
hold on. We can't hear you. Can you run that again?
Hello, members of the committee. My name is Anthony Bartolini, and I will be representing the file for the property at 126 Lake Promenade, Toronto, ON M8W1A5 on behalf of my clients today. I personally reside at 1204 Hill Street, Innisfil, Ontario. I would like to summarize the variances we are requesting in our proposal today. Each variance is minor in nature and meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, which are summarized below. The variance must be minor in nature. This means the variance should not be too large or too significant in impact. The variance must be desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land. The variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan. Today we are requesting relief from 4 zoning bylaws related to a swimming pool and a proposed garage in the rear yard of this property. 1. Rear yard setback for swimming pool. The minimum rear yard setback for a swimming pool on a corner lot with an adjacent lot fronting the street abutting the side lot line is 3.0 meters. The proposed rear yard setbacks for the structure holding water are 1.22 meters and 1.78 meters. See circled areas number 1 on the site plan. This variance is very minor and is more of a technical matter, as typically the city will allow a 4-foot setback to all property lines for a pool. In this instance, we will be adding beautiful planting and shrubs to screen any unsightliness from the neighbor. This will be very minor as we are adding a very beautiful pool as shown in the proposal. 2. Side yard setback for swimming pool. The minimum side yard setback for a swimming pool is 1.2 meters. The proposed side yard setback for the structure holding water is 0.99 meters. See circled areas 2 on the site plan. To summarize, we assume this variance is very minor and we will accommodate the amendment similar to number 1 above. 3. Side yard setback for ancillary building garage. The minimum side yard setback for an ancillary building on a corner lot with vehicle access from the street abutting the side lot line is 6.0 meters. The proposed side yard setback for the garage is 0.49 meters. See circled areas number 3 on the site plan. This variance is very minor as a typical accessory structure in Toronto is typically approved at a 2-foot setback to the property lines. In this case, that is assumed as the side yard property line for the accessory building as it is fronting on a different road than the house. Please see the attached site plan. 4. Driveway width. For a detached house, semi-detached house, or duplex, the maximum width of a driveway that does not pass through the front yard is 3.55 meters. The proposed driveway width is 4.9 meters. See circled areas number 4 on the site plan. This variance is very minor and will allow my client to have a driveway wide enough to accommodate the size of the garage structure, which matches exactly the driveway width of 4.9 meters. Please feel free to refer to the file we have attached related to many similar instances in the area, which do not stand out or a nuisance. We are proposing a very similar project. We believe all of these variances are minor in nature. While we understand urban forestry has expressed opposition to the file, we are confident that we can reach a satisfactory agreement with them following the Committee of Adjustment's favorable decision. Our proposal includes planting multiple trees to urban forestry's satisfaction pending approvals. In response to urban forestry's comments, we assert that the variances align with the 4 tests outlined above. I am happy to address any questions about our proposal today. We are seeking a favorable outcome so that we can proceed with constructing the garage, which is essential for my client's primary parking needs. I understand that I have only 5 minutes to speak, but I would like to address both letters of opposition when given the opportunity. Furthermore, if given the opportunity, I would like to give my clients, Lana and Ferris, the chance to add any comments if I have missed anything.
Are we
Thank you very
concluded?
much. That summarizes.
Okay, great. I have some questions. I'd like to go to your site plan. You've got something there labeled as an existing driveway. Is that driveway in fact existing?
Correct, it is existing. That driveway was actually installed as a basis for a previous approval, as in the past, the Committee of Adjustments granted approvals for a garage that was further,
Okay,
let's just say slightly closer
so
to
can
the
you
existing
can
dwelling.
you explain the discrepancy between the location of that so-called existing driveway and your survey?
The discrepancy, so the
Where-
existing driveway,
Where is the existing driveway on your survey?
this is just a site plan, so this was just a proposed site plan. If the survey is on file, it should show the existing driveway. But for the sake of this conversation, the existing
Okay,
driveway.
but for the sake of this
there you go.
conversation, I want to come back to your to your survey, which does not show this existing driveway. So therefore, how can it be existing?
It says paved stone driveway there, just
Right,
on the
which is in
side
a
of
different
the-
location from what you're showing on your site plan.
Correct. We are proposing a new driveway location.
So then it's not an existing driveway.
I'm not sure where it was mentioned that it was existing, but there's an existing driveway.
You just told me it
adjacent
was
to the
existing.
proposed dri-
I just asked you, is the existing driveway on your site plan where it's located? That was the first question I asked you.
Oh, okay. So that is going to be a new proposed driveway there.
So that's not an
that's what the
existing
variance is for.
driveway. So that site plan is incorrect then.
The existing driveway is adjacent to that.
Okay, so then you
So
can't.
that was.
So then you can't call that.
I
an
guess that was
exist-
that was just a misnotation on the site plan. I guess that wasn't actually supposed to be noted as an existing driveway. If there's any way we can either scratch that, or because the whole proposal was based on a new driveway there. So there was an existing driveway just adjacent to that.
I
I'm
understand
not sure if
that.
an amendment can be made in Committee of Adjustments today, that we can just note that that's not existing and that one's proposed, as that was a slight mistake. But I appreciate you clarifying that and catching that.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize for that.
My next question then is, you're also showing existing interlock. Is that existing? Or is that proposed?
So the interlock in the backyard is all the hard landscaping in the backyard is going to be actually proposed interlocking.
So that shouldn't say existing either then.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another error
Yeah,
on your site
yeah.
plan. Correct?
So we already got an approval on a pool permit, so that might have just been in connection with what was approved on the pool permit, just because we're actually not getting a variance on the hard landscaping in the backyard anyways.
You know,
so for the sake of the variance, we just notated that as existing.
Okay, you
because
should try politics because you're very good at not answering direct questions. So the interlocking is not an existing situation then, correct?
So for just as a clarification, I did just look back into the file, and we were granted a pool permit in previous to this variance.
I don't care if you're
So
granted a pool permit. I just want you to answer my question.
the interlock is not existing.
Thank you.
So sorry, that little sliver there may be because it says
No.
paved stone walkway.
So the
That
other,
might just be a area that.
I'm
is
not
existing.
sure how they must have changed something from the pool permit, because they do have a variance for the swimming pool location from the west side lot line. So regardless of what was issued before, they've made revisions, and the revisions should be accurate. Before
Yeah, all I'm saying is, it's, what's stated here is not correct. Yeah, well, 50-50 is not correct, because that means it's half not right.
Sorry, do you mind just going back to our site plan? Because I do see that there is a paved stone walkway that's existing, so that might have been, yeah, so that paved stone walkway there, it actually is existing in comparison to the survey. Right, so
If I look at Google Maps, and maybe it's not up to date because I didn't do a site visit, I was going to, but I didn't get to it. I believe it's poured concrete.
No, it doesn't exist. Sorry, you can't speak right now.
Okay, anyway, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify your documents as a starting point. So,
yeah, so there was an area there that is existing per the survey. That could have definitely been where we reflected that existing walkway, just adjacent to the deck. But definitely in comparison to the driveway, that's not an existing driveway, to clarify that. Okay? So the walkway, in comparison to the survey, it looks like it was there's an existing walkway there.
Why don't we just call all of this proposed as opposed to existing?
That works. That definitely works. Sure, for the sake of this proposal. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, great. So moving on, does anyone else have any questions? No. Okay, thank you. So let's go to the speakers list then. I believe Andy Choles is first speaker.
Andy, you've been unmuted.
Good afternoon. My name's Andy Choles. I live at 12 Jasmine Avenue in Long Branch, a couple of blocks northeast of this property. I'm a board member of the Long Branch Neighborhood Association. We have a mission statement to protect, celebrate, and enhance the neighborhood of Long Branch. This application for 126 Lake Promenade is trying to fit too much on a lot that is not sufficient in size. The rear yard will be crowded with a double garage and swimming pool. It doesn't fit the streetscape or the character of the neighborhood. This application should be refused. I think community planning says it well in their report. Policy 4.1.8 the official plan states that zoning bylaws will contain numerical site standards for matters such as building type and height, densities, lot sizes, lot depths, lot frontages, parking, building setbacks from lot lines, landscaped open spaces, and any other performance standard to ensure a new development will be compatible with the physical character of the established residential neighborhood. Policy 3.1.3, the official plan speaks of build forms, policies stating that the development will be located and massed to fit with existing and planned contexts, fit the character. Development will be required to provide good transition and scale between areas of different building heights and or intensity of use in consideration of both existing and planned contexts of the neighborhood policy. In addition, the policy 2.3.1.6 of the official plan promotes environmental sustainability in neighborhoods with reference to landscaping and improvements and stormwater management techniques. The applicant wants to significantly reduce the side yard and rear yard setbacks for both the pool and double garage. He's mentioned the setbacks that were mentioned. The required setback for the swimming pool is 3 meters, and they're looking at things less than half, in some cases 1.22 or 1.78. On the west side, the proposed swimming pool will be located 0.99 from the lot line, where the minimum required setback for the swimming pool and other ancillary structure to hold water is 1.2 meters. So again, that's reduced. The proposed attached garage will be located only 0.49 meters from the north lot line, where minimum required setback for auxiliary buildings or a structure containing a parking space, whereas on a corner lot or on a vehicle access from the street abutting the side lot is 6 meters. Community planning report states that the requested rear and side yard setbacks for pool and garage would be the smallest in the immediate neighborhood. One of the purposes of adequate side yard setbacks is to provide plantable space, so there are opportunities to plant native shrubs and trees to provide privacy, to absorb noise and improve livable environment of the city. The amount of green space in the form of grass areas has improved over the original plan, but the application still provides little space to plant anything in the yard. Planting, especially between the adjacent neighbors at 28th Street and Lake Promenade, would provide some benefit. The neighbors at 2A28 and 128 Lake Promenade to the west have legitimate concerns about the crowding of these lot lines and the draining issues that will likely result. The northwest corner of the garage is practically touching the fence between the property and 2A28. Surely heavy rain runoff will be dumped right over the fence. The space between the north side of the garage and the fence with such little light will not offer much for any vegetation. You caught the driveway. Actually, there's an existing paving parking pad that's where they have the interlock brick shown between the street and the flower bed. And you might be able to see that from the pictures on the second page of my letter of objection. There's really a little too much for this rear yard to accommodate. The applicant could consider reducing the size of the garage and the pool to conform with bylaws referring to setbacks. However, in its present form, the LBNA agrees with the neighbors as well as community planning that this application should be refused. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Choles. Any questions? No? Okay, next speaker.
Next, we have Anton Sheglov.
Okay,
who is
Lana is not available? Or?
Lana is the owner of 126 Lake
got it.
Promenade, and I guess now that we bring it up, she will be doing the rebuttal as opposed to the agent.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so Anton?
I have Melissa on the line, but I'm not sure if it's Anton or Melissa. Anton or Melissa? Sheglov?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Melissa Sheglov. I am the neighbor to the west side, 128 Lake Promenade. I wanted to further add to some of the fantastic points that were just mentioned by the LBNA. So my husband and I did a thorough evaluation of the plans and outlined in detail our rebuttal in the letter. I'm going to take a couple minutes just to top line this. In summary, the applicant's variance requests are neither minor nor desirable. They are against the official plan and the LBNA character guidelines. I'm going to summarize key points as it relates to the garage, the swimming pool, and the driveway. With the respect to the garage, the request to position the detached garage just 0.49 meters from the north lot line, so our neighbors to the north, where the bylaw mandates a 6-meter setback with a roof overhang of 1 foot, basically eliminates the entire setback, undermining the intent of setbacks in Toronto in properties and their intention to provide distance for sound, noise, drainage, all of that stuff. Not only will this variance put the property on the north side at risk of damage during construction, it will undoubtedly cause undue hardship to the owner. The total height of the garage is 12 foot. Well over the existing fence. So it's so close and so high that we know debris will fly over, water will spill right over, eaves get frequently overwhelmed during the summer months. Again, the purpose of the setbacks is to mitigate for all of these things, and they have completely erased it. In regards to the swimming pool, the bylaw stipulates 3-meter rear yard and a 1.2-meter yard setback. The proposed plan reduces this down to 1.2 to 1.8 meters, and at its kind of shallowest, a 0.99 meter setback from basically my yard to the pool. The deviation of this guideline undermines the intent of the setback regulations, which are designed to ensure a reasonable buffer between properties, protecting both of us, protecting the functionality and the enjoyment of their space plus ours. Normally, you'd have some kind of shrubbery to act as a buffer between properties to maintain privacy and reduce noise. In this case, the space is so tight at 0.99, the smallest, basically, as LBNA mentioned in the neighborhood. In addition, even though a pool is considered softscaping, when the pool is covered for the winter, snow melt will inevitably impact us. Snow melt in combination with eroded setbacks will turn us into a swampy bog. It is also important to consider that Toronto's official policy 4.1.5 states that development within established neighborhoods will respect and reinforce the existing physical character, in particularly the prevailing pattern of rear and side yard setbacks and open space. This development completely disregards these setbacks. I'm going to address the driveway in summary. Lastly, the increased size of the driveway to 4.9 meters from the allowed 3.55 is contrary to the existing Long Branch neighborhood character guidelines. The proposed size will overwhelm the facade to the detriment of the other positive landscaping elements, such as grass and trees. It's worth noting that the existing design goes further in removing green space from the city side of the property by adding a fairly wide stone walkway from the driveway to the property, thus increasing its incompatibility with the guidelines. So in summary, adding to what our friends at the Long Branch Neighborhood Association outlined, there's a lot going on in this property and there's just not a lot of space.
Thank you. We have another speaker. Gerald?
Yeah, Jerry Timko. Jerry?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Perfect. Okay. Sure. My name is Gerald Timko from 2A 28th Street, so the property just north. So I agree with the other neighbor as well as Long Branch Society. All the variance requests here, none of them are minor in nature. They're all very material. If you take a look at variance request number 2, the detached garage, going from 6 meters to 4.9 meters. So we're essentially saying going from 20 feet to basically 1.5 feet. And that does not take the fence into account. So the garage is going to be a very large structure right on the property line. And that doesn't account for the roof. So some of the concerns are, some of the damage potentially from the construction, when there's weather events, debris, as well as rain going over to my property, which also increases the risk of flooding. A structure so high, there's also the risk of less natural light to my property as well, and a decrease in privacy. Similar when you take a look at variance requests 1 and 3, those are also material as well, from 3 meters to 1.22 and 1.78. So essentially to 1.5 feet from the property line. That is something that will also impact privacy, and all these structures in aggregate, including variance number 4, increasing the size of the driveway from 3.55 to 4.9 meters. That again is increasing the hardscaping on the property. So once again, a lot going on in the property, and a lot of it's essentially sitting pretty much right on my property line as well as the neighbor's property line.
Did we lose you, or are you done?
So that's
okay.
Yeah, so that's essentially it. So essentially objecting to all the variance requests because they're all essentially material in nature and impact my property as well as the neighboring properties.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from anyone? No? Okay, are there any other speakers other than the owner?
No, just Lana, just to advise, Lana will be doing the rebuttal.
So Lana will be doing the rebuttal in person.
So that means Anthony will not have another opportunity to
Of course.
speak. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee and the public. Yeah, I'm good. I'm audible. Okay, perfect. Oh,
So you're going to address the issues that were raised by the other speakers as opposed to adding to the presentation, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So thank you, the neighbors, for the interest in our backyard plans. I think 3 issues there were prominent in all of those presentations. One of them is the width of the driveway. So I want to address that because I think the comments and concerns come from the fact that probably neighbors are misinformed. And the thing is that the driveway in the existing form and shape actually was approved by this very committee in November 2009, and it exists. So it's exactly 4.9 meters right now and fits barely 2 cars. So all we're doing is taking that driveway and moving it a few meters north. So we're not increasing what already exists for 13 years now. Okay, so another issue is the proposed side back. So if you can see on the plan, only 1 corner of the garage is actually at that setback. So the front that faces the street is actually 1.5 meters. So it's not exactly all over 149, so 049. So this is one thing. And The reason for that is that we believe that this is the best position for the garage because moving it further out will create a permanently shaded area between the garage wall and the fence. And we cannot plant anything, nothing will survive there for sure. So we're moving it a little bit more north, so free up some sun-filled area to do some planting. I'm planning to do some gardening, vegetable garden, and some bushes, flowering bushes. So again, we believe that this is the best position for the garage. Now, we also believe that our design aligns with the established character and development of the area. We actually took a bike ride around the neighborhood, took some pictures, took some measurements, and you can see those pictures and measurements actually attached to the application as part of the Long Branch checklist. Okay, and our survey of the area showed that majority of the corner lots actually do have very similar design. I give you an example right across the street, 120 Lake Promenade. We have detached garage, driveway width is 4.2 meters, side back 0.3. There is 184 Lake Promenade, double car garage, 6.6 meters driveway width. We have, let's see, 35 25th Street, 3-car detached garage, again, corner unit, 6.1 meter driveway width, and 0.5 side yard setback. And list goes on and on and on. You can see, again, all those examples attached to the applications. So, and again, listening from the neighbors, we're a little bit puzzled because each of them who spoke today do enjoy wide and long driveway and garages. So their car goes in the garage. Unfortunately, with the increased theft of cars in our neighborhood, it becomes very essential for us to have a garage. So you can, again, I can see in our neighborhood, our neighbors actually got his car stolen twice. So it is a concern. Every time we wake up in the morning, we check out our driveway whether the cars are still there. And cars are absolutely essential for us to commute to work. It's if we lose a car, we lose a job. So, and the driveway, the existing driveway and the one, the proposed driveway is barely fit 2 cars. And mind you that we have 3 kids. One of them is 24 right now and unemployed, looking for a job. And if he finds a job that requires commuting with a car, he cannot take it. So, because the 3rd car is not fitting anywhere, and we cannot park on the street, obviously, because it's not allowed and a safety issue. So, in conclusion, our backyard currently appears neglected, but our landscape plan aims to transform it into a vibrant green space filled with vegetables, herbs, flowering bushes, and new trees. These improvements will not only enhance the aesthetic of our property, but also contribute positively.
Okay, you're kind of doing a presentation now as opposed to a rebuttal.
Gotcha. So thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So we'll take it into committee then. Anybody want to kick off some discussion, or are we ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? Check. No? Okay, fine.
No.
So on this, I've got a, I agree with city staff assessment of it. I don't believe this application meets the 4 tests, and I move a motion to refuse.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay, Ms. Ruddick, all in favor? Okay, that's, the application's been refused. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, do you want to go to item 12 next or back to 8?
We're going to item 12.
Okay.
Okay. So item 12 is 7A CONNORVALE Avenue. This is an application to construct a new garden suite in the rear yard. There are 6 variances being requested. Metrolinx has advisory comments, and there are There's one letter of support from number 5. Welcome. Thanks for the wait.
Hi. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and the committee member. Good afternoon, all the staffs. I'm the last one, hopefully.
No, you're not.
I got the good luck.
Okay.
My minor variance application is to convert the existing variances, existing ancillary building into a garden suite. Due to the time limitation, I would like to do the summary first.
Actually, if you could do just a summary, that's probably all we're going to need.
Okay, sure.
Thanks.
The existing rear ancillary building has a long history with no complaints, no negative impact in the past, and most neighbors have no objections. The existing property was developed in 2008. I bought it in 2017 and confirmed no outstanding issues with the city. Converting the existing rear building into a garden suite is to create affordable housing according to city official plan. The application is minor in nature and all variances come from the existing building. This application was deferred from June 20, 2024, public hearing by city planning to revise the proposal. The proposal has been revised to remove or improve most variances to satisfy city planning. Also, I would like to mention more aggressive variances have been approved in my neighborhood, and the general intent and the purpose of the zoning bylaw and the official plan are maintained. That's the summary.
Thank you. I think we're good with that.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? No. Thank you, sir. Someone ready for a motion or? There, I don't know. There's someone here in support. No, actually, they're from the same address, so we're not going to let them speak. Is there anyone else to speak to this item? I'm assuming not.
Then I will make a motion.
There you go.
I believe the application meets the 4 tests. I do not believe there are any conditions, and I move a motion for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Popovic, all in favor? Okay, you have unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, back to item 8.
So we do have Christine now. Do we want to hear from Christine or back to the agent first?
I just want to touch base with the agent to make sure he's got his calculations and he's not going to be asking for a deferral before we go to Christine.
So, Mr. Chair, while we were on break, while this item was still happening and during the break, I took a look at all of the plans that were submitted with the zoning review because he mentioned he got multiple zoning reviews, but he did resubmit plans. In those plans, there were changes to the depth of the proposed addition, but his site stats never changed in terms of lot coverage. So a potential for error could have been there if Toronto Building was relying on his site statistics, because his site statistics never changed even though the dimensions of the addition did. And what the applicant has to be aware is that coverage also includes any sheds. So there is a shed on the property, so he has to account for that.
Okay, so thank you for that clarification. Let's come back to the agent then.
I am here.
Hi.
Yeah, and I also look back through my correspondence. I did change the depth of the house, but I believe the statistics reflect the change. The earlier zoning notice that I got, they both contain the same percentage of lot coverage, but the square meters differ. And I was going off the later zoning notice, and what's on file with the committee is the earlier zoning notice. But again, the lot coverage percentage is the same. It's just the, I I don't know if it was a typo or what the error is. Mathematical error in the first zoning notice doesn't equate to the zoning notice that
Okay,
was
so
included
bottom
in the notice.
line, what's your actual lot coverage in square meters?
My actual lot coverage in square meters is 134 square meters.
Okay, so essentially,
Which represents 30.
Which represents 30 something. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's.
Okay, so
it's
then
the 35.
So okay, so we have a notice issue, and we're gonna unless you can't reduce it to 131. That's not gonna, unless you're gonna change your drawings.
I can get close.
Well,
I can get close, but I can't quite get there. Yeah.
No, so
but I can get to the 35%. That's.
Yeah, but it's the square meters that's going to be the issue. So.
I know, but the square meters is incorrect on the zoning notice. That's the problem.
Okay, but that's still a notice issue. So I think the route to go here is you're going to need to defer this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Is it possible to get into the next hearing date if there's available? What's the?
It's pretty full.
Well, we need the next available hearing date for you will most likely be November. We need revised materials, and you need a revised zoning review that accurately reflects those numbers. And your coverage with the 134 square meters, that has to include your shed. So I don't know if that.
And it does. It does.
Okay, because the site statistics for all three sets of the plans you submitted to Toronto Building for your zoning review all had 119, not 135 or 134. So you need to make sure that, and if you're using a zoning review, those plans have to match what you give us. So what you gave to Toronto Building doesn't match. You're not supposed to make any further revisions to your plans or your site stats. Once you obtain that zoning review, you have to give us the same information you give to Toronto Building. So at this point, if there's a deferral, it's to the next available hearing date, and we won't be looking on scheduling you until we have all your revised materials that match.
Okay. I'm comparing what the committee has with my latest drawings. They look to be the same, but I will defer and double check all my numbers once again.
Okay, hold that for a minute, since we had Christine.
Oh, I'll ask to defer.
Thank you, no worries. Christine is still on the line, the neighbor.
Hello?
Hi, so it looks, we're not sure, were you going to express concerns with this application or just?
No, thank you for the time. I would support that.
Christine, we can't hear you. I'm not sure if anything's changed since I sound checked you at the break. Christine?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Thank you.
Okay, so we need your full name and address first.
Christine Spencer, 185 Arlington Avenue, Toronto, M6C2Z4.
Okay, and sorry, were you online to express concerns, or you just wanted to hear, or in support, or just wanted to get your position?
Yes, thank you. I'm actually here to support and to only speak if it was necessary. But given what's transpired in the conversation with respect to the difference in the numbers, I have nothing to add at this time, and I'll hopefully be available to join the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, can she clarify where she is in relation? Because EDGEMORE is in Etobicoke, and that's her address is not.
I am an advisor to the design team that's working on this project.
Okay, well then you shouldn't be a deputant, because you get one representative, right? So in the future,
right?
So in the
So
future,
so Aaron should have been only one, is what you're saying?
correct. That's correct.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
clarification.
Thank you. Okay, so looking for a motion.
I'll move a motion to defer this item due to the notice issue.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Public. All in favor? Okay, the item is deferred. Next motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you, members.